Hi, my name's Eric. I'll be reading you Star Magazine, issue date April 20th of 2026. This is from the Audible Local Ledger, a reading service exclusively for people who are blind or print disabled. On the cover this week, Harry's intimate messages to a British journalist. Marriage rocked by his boozy behavior. Horny princess slammed as a hypocrite. Meghan's tears. Well, what else is he hiding? Plus William and Kate's secrets exposed at trial. On the sidebar, more exclusives. Tiger, plea to Vanessa Trump, rehab to save romance. Taylor's I Do details, summer wedding countdown, the ring, the dress, the guest lists. Broken Britney breaks silence, my boys will save my life, and new details of the Summer House scandal, reality TV's biggest villains. Moving inside today's Star Scoop. Hollywood gossip hot off the presses. Crash test dummy. Cops found 2 hydrocodone pills in Tiger's pocket and said that he exemplified signs of impairment. He's pleaded not guilty to DUI. Tiger's romance is in the rough. Tiger Woods' latest DUI is giving girlfriend Vanessa Trump second thoughts about walking down the aisle with him. Tiger Woods may have shanked his romance with Vanessa Trump after he crashed his SUV and was charged with DUI. Insiders say that Tiger, who's 50, was ready to pop the question back in June of 2025, just 7 months after the two began dating. But for now, an engagement, or even moving in together, which was once reported as imminent, seems out of the question, a source says. Vanessa, the ex-wife of President Donald Trump's eldest son, Don Jr., loves Tiger dearly, but this incident has freaked her out and forced her to reevaluate the relationship, says an insider. It's dawned on her that the friends who warned her about Tiger's dark side were probably right, and he's a lot more flawed than she realized. The mom of 5, who's 48, is taking a second look at some of his dumber decisions. A tipster told People he refused to hire a driver because he didn't want anyone tracking his whereabouts. Tiger's many injuries, which have required 7 back surgeries and over 20 leg operations, may have also contributed to his troubles, including his use of pain meds. Plus, he has major demons and a tendency to fly off the handle, so it's not a surprise he slid off the rails again, says the source. Tiger has wisely decided to seek treatment, where he'll hopefully learn new tools to deal with stress and pain and save his relationship. He needed to show he's willing to work on himself if Vanessa is going to stick around. More Star Dish. Cher's secret grandchild. Cher was recently blindsided, quote unquote, when she discovered she has a 15-year-old granddaughter, and that the girl's existence had been kept a secret from her, a source exclusively reveals to Star. The singer, who's 79 years old, first heard a rumor she had a grandchild in 2021, but only found out last year it was true, says the source. The teen is the daughter of the pop star's troubled younger son, Elijah Blue Allman, who's 49 years old, currently in jail after being busted on trespassing and break-in charges last month. In 2018, when Cher played a grandma in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, she expressed her regret on the film's press tour that neither Elijah nor her older son, Chaz Bono, had ever had kids. I don't have any grandchildren. I wish I did. I really do. She didn't realize at the time, says the source, that Elijah had fathered a child, because he only told her about it in 2021. She didn't know if it was true until recently, and she has since had contact with the mother, claims the source. Although Elijah had met the teen, he never wanted his mom to be in the kid's life because of their damaged relationship, says the insider, referring to the Oscar winner's efforts to get Elijah help for his substance abuse and mental health issues. In 2023, Cher even tried to establish a conservatorship over him, but a Superior Court of Los Angeles County judge dismissed the application, saying she wasn't persuaded by Cher's case. Thankfully, the teen's mom is very protective of the girl, says the source. She's like a mama bear, focusing on the daughter's needs more than anything else. Elijah's not in close contact with the girl, and until he gets help, there's no sense in having him near her. Bravo's next Scandival? Are Summer House's Amanda Batula and West Wilson the new Tom Sandoval and Raquel Leviss? It looks like it. A brief explainer, please. Amanda, who's 34, recently filed for divorce from fellow longtime cast member Kyle Cook, who's 43. Her BFF on the show, Sierra Miller, 30 years old, had dated West, who's 31, who cruelly dumped her 2 years ago. But on the current season of the show, which filmed last summer, she was considering giving him another chance. And then rumors began circulating that Amanda and West were together. A knife in the back to Kyle and Ciara. Amanda confirmed the relationship in an Instagram story on March 31st, posting, "It was never our intention to purposely hide anything. Given the complicated relationship dynamics that are involved, we need a little space to process things privately." In an apparently snarky response, Ciara captioned a video from the red carpet for Your Friends and Neighbors. "If you can't trust your friends and neighbors, who can you trust? Hashtag Team Ciara for the win." Denise, Aaron's a charlatan. A judge has ordered Denise Richards' estranged husband, Aaron Pfeifers, to pay $160,000 after he failed to respond to a lawsuit brought by Rupert Perry, the widower of an ex-patient. Rupert claims his late wife, Elena Katsiola-Bial, sought a stem cell treatment for her sarcoma cancer from Aaron, 53 years old, who at the time ran a holistic healing center. The wellness guru allegedly cited a 98% chance of success and promised a 50% refund if the treatment didn't work. It didn't, and Elena died in May of 2024. Rupert requested the refund, but Aaron never paid up, and so the grieving husband sued him for fraud and breach of contract. Denise, who's 55 years old, and paying spousal support to her ex while they're locked in an ugly divorce battle, isn't the least bit surprised by this judgment, a source says. He's essentially being exposed as a heartless charlatan who's been deemed to have exploited a dying person. Fergie's drunk dialing the Royals. A bitter Sarah Ferguson, who's been ensnared in the Epstein scandal and was left homeless when her ex-husband and longtime roommate Andrew Mountbatten Windsor got exiled to a much smaller cottage, has been turning to the bottle for consolation and then picking up the phone and trauma dumping on the former prince's relatives. She feels wronged by everyone in the family, an insider says. She doesn't have the guts to confront anyone directly, but once she starts drinking, the liquid courage kicks in, and that's when she gets on the phone and starts unloading. Queen Camilla, 78 years old, who was once close to the former Duchess, has been getting the brunt of it. If Fergie, 66, can't reach her, she'll leave these dreadful, rambling messages that go from complaining to crying to threatening to expose all the family's secrets. But the insider warns she's risking a visit from the security officers who protect the royal family if she keeps it up. More star dish. Paris versus the Jacksons. Paris Jackson is facing off against the executors of Michael Jackson's estate and the rest of the Jackson family over Michael, the upcoming biopic about her dad. The Band-Aid singer, who's 28 years old, has publicly trashed the movie, which is premiering April 24th, even though she stands to earn millions of dollars from it. Plus, it will launch the career of her cousin, Jafar Jackson, who's 29, the son of Paris's uncle Jermaine, who's portraying the late king of pop. Family members are pressuring her to back off because she's threatening Jafar and the project's success, says the source. Her opposition is also the latest chapter in her battle with the executors of her father's estate, says a source. They've had a lot of sympathy for Paris, but she's causing chaos at the exact moment when the world gets introduced to this expensive film, creating a new generation of Michael fans. They also say her court filings reveal she doesn't understand how a big-budget movie gets made. It seems like she's listening to some very bad advice, says the source. Paris's team denied the accusations, saying Paris's legal battle has always been about protecting her family from the executors. Britney's family reunion. Britney Spears had a rare reunion with older son Sean Preston, who's 20, who joined her and his brother Jaden James, who's 19, on a yacht getaway. She was so happy to see them, and they lifted her spirits big time in the wake of her recent DUI arrest, an insider says. She's trying to stay positive and focus on the good things in her life, and her relationship with the boys tops the list. They're also helping her stay sober, which she hopes will impress the judge and keep her out of jail, according to the tipster. She says Jaden has been an absolute rock. He dropped everything to move in with her and to help her with day-to-day tasks, the source says. It also allowed her to drop some bad characters who've been hanging around her. She even ended her post-arrest Instagram hiatus with several videos of them together. Another bonus, Jaden's also encouraging Sean to have a closer relationship with their mom. It's been a slower process as he's shy and doesn't like the limelight, the source says. But he loves his mom, and he and Jaden are both working together to help her however they can. On to star couples. The latest hookups, breakups, and makeups. Kanye's latest meltdown. Kanye West is raging after Lewis Hamilton meets the kids. It's official, Kim has introduced her brood to Lewis, but it caused Kanye to flip out. Bring on the wrath. Sources say Kanye West has worked himself into a frenzy over Kim Kardashian's budding romance with Lewis Hamilton. Kanye assumed this would be a fling, says the source, but now it's apparent that they're going to be a lot more. Kanye, who's 48 years old, was reportedly triggered anew by pics of Kim and 3 of their 4 kids on vacation with the F1 racer, who's 41 years old, in Tokyo, even though he split from Kim, who's 45, more than 5 years ago. The sight of Kim and Lewis posing with his kids, Saint, who's 10, Chicago, who's 9, and Sam, who's 6, but not eldest, North, who's 12, like a big happy family, really set him off, says the insider. Kanye, who's been with wife Bianca Censori since 2022, has frequently charged that Kim has kept the kids away from him. I don't have at least 50-50 with my kids, he said last year, so how is it joint custody? But Kim has insisted that Kanye has as much access as he wants, claiming last fall, every time he is asked, I'll always let them see their father. That's just who I am. The source confirms Kanye's latest spiral is ultimately a load of hot air. Kim's done nothing wrong. He's proven himself to be an absentee dad for quite some time. Kanye's latest tantrum is also a massive turnoff for Bianca, who's 31 years old, says the source. What Kanye doesn't seem to grasp is that all his ranting and raving only makes things worse for him. Gwyneth and Brad, from bad to worse. 7-year itch much? Gwyneth Paltrow's marriage to Brad Falchuk is on the rocks due to the Goop founder's tendency to get very snappy with her husband of 7 years, an insider claims. Brad is the most supportive guy, and Gwyneth loves him, but whenever she's in a bad mood, she can be very dismissive. The source says that the star, who's 53 years old and famously dated Ben Affleck and Brad Pitt, has a taste for bad boys and alpha males, while TV producer Brad, who's 55, has a meek, gentle nature that can grate on her nerves. But when Gwyneth gets irritable with Brad, it's her 21-year-old daughter, Apple Martin, who steps in to check her. Apple's known Brad since she was 10, and he's always been great to her, says the source. She feels protective of him. She'll tell her mom to be nicer, and to Gwyneth's credit, she usually listens. Croy says Kim's a bad mom. For the second time, Croy Bierman has filed for sole custody of the 4 kids he shares with ex Kim Zolciak, and he has a truckload of new grievances about his estranged co-parent. The former NFL player, who's 40 years old, has charged that the Real Housewives of Atlanta alum, who's 47, hasn't seen their children, Croy Jr., who's 14, Cash, who's 13, and twins Kaya and Kane, who are 12, for weeks, and wasn't even in the country. He claimed via lawyers that Kim had displayed a blatant mismanagement of basic parenting responsibilities, and even alleged that one of the children was recently bitten by a dog while under Kim's care. But the reality star has clapped back, insisting her 5-week absence was to film 2 shows to support my family and make sure my children are cared for, something I will never apologize for. Taryn's Fight Club. Roll the tape. A leaked video of Taryn Manning shows her having an apparently physical altercation with her longtime friend Holly Hartman. An insider claims the Orange is the New Black star, who's 47, and Holly, who's 36, are constantly getting in these scary arguments. In a follow-up video, Taryn insists the leaked footage, which shows her lunging at Holly mid-argument, lacked context. In a separate incident, Taryn claims Holly and a mutual friend bashed my windshield and slashed tires. But the source says both are to blame. They have a truly toxic relationship, and friends have suggested they need therapy. The insider adds that Taryn, who was arrested in 2012 for attacking Holly, tends to lash out the most, but Holly's constantly pushing her buttons, and something's gotta give. The cover story: Harry's flirty texts to another woman. Private messages. This has come back to bite Harry in the butt, says a source. Too far? Charlotte Griffiths, or Griff, as Harry called her, started working for the Mail on Sunday in 2008. The walls close in on the prince as his involvement with a British journalist is exposed. Their messages were playful, cheeky, and undeniably flirty. Responding to an early message from Prince Harry, Charlotte Griffiths wrote, "Hello, Mr. Mischief. What a fun weekend of naughtiness. Can't we all get up to no good in the countryside every weekend, damn it? Smooches." Seemingly amused by his new mischievous nickname, Harry pushed back. "I was surely no worse than anyone else." But Charlotte assured him it was a compliment, adding, "We all competitively out-naughtied each other, which is why we all had so much fun." The banter continued over the following days. Charlotte dubbed the prince a bloody maverick and asked about his Thirsty Thursday plans, while Harry shared he'd been busy and was gonna be hungover again for the 3rd day running. He added that she'd missed a good party, signing off with an affectionate "Mwah! XXX kisses." A month later, after Charlotte shared details of a ski trip in Klosters, Switzerland, Harry replied, "I wish," capitalized, "I was there, sugar, but unfortunately stuck in Cornwall doing army stuff." Sad emoji. "Otherwise I would have been there playing and then drinking you under the table, obvi," before longingly adding, "Miss our movie snuggles." Stunning revelations. The cozy, sometimes late-night exchanges sent over Facebook between December of 2011 and January of 2012 came as a shock when they were revealed in court last month, not least because of who Charlotte turned out to be, a journalist for one of the outlets Harry is now suing. The intimate messages surfaced in the closing stretch of his privacy case against Associated Newspapers Limited, publisher of the Daily Mail and Mail on Sunday, where testimony wrapped up on March 31st. Harry and fellow claimants included Elton John and Elizabeth Hurley alleged they're victims of unlawful information gathering. Associated denies the claims. According to evidence presented to London's High Court, the 41-year-old royal first met Charlotte, now 40 and an editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, at a country house party. It was hosted by a mutual friend. She testified that they moved in similar social circles and described how Harry friended her on Facebook and shared his phone number before they began exchanging messages. But when Harry gave evidence earlier this year, he painted a very different picture, the Telegraph reported, insisting he'd only met Charlotte once and cut off contact after learning she's a journalist. He also said he had no idea whether she moved in his social circles. The message trail, however, appears to show a warmer, more sustained connection, one that's raised fresh questions about Harry's claims and handed critics new ammunition, with some branding him a hypocrite and a liar. Now, a source tells Star the fallout is hitting closer to home. This is an extremely embarrassing situation for Harry as well as Duchess Meghan, his wife of nearly 8 years, says the source. A rep for the couple denies the story. The fact that this exchange between Harry and another woman has all been revealed in open court is a total nightmare, not just because it may weaken his case by showing he was fraternizing with the press at a time he claims they were persecuting him, but it also paints him as a flirty, hard-partying character who clearly has skeletons in his closet that Meghan doesn't, or didn't, know about. The former Suits actress, who's 44, was shocked to hear about this other woman, and understandably wants to know the full story and the precise nature of their relationship, claims the source. Harry sees it differently. He's defending himself passionately, saying this all happened a very long time ago, and once again, it's a case of the press and their legal pit bulls trying to sling mud at him and hope that it sticks. He acknowledges having a playful exchange with this woman, but he's swearing up and down that's as far as it went, just a bit of friendly fun, and that there's no need to read between the lines or associate his behavior back then with who he is today. The timing, however, couldn't be worse. Everyone knows Harry and Meghan have been under colossal stress recently. They're constantly putting out fires and dealing with crisis after crisis, says the source. The revelations emerged in court as the couple are facing mounting pressure on multiple fronts. As Star has previously reported, the Sussexes are navigating tensions over Harry's efforts to reconcile with his cancer-stricken father, King Charles III, who's 77. While Meghan will always support him repairing that rift, she remains wary they'll ever find true peace with the royal family after leaving Britain 6 years ago. Still, as reports earlier this year suggested, Harry could soon regain government-funded security in the UK, potentially paving the way for a return, this time with their kids, Prince Archie, who's 6, and Prince Lilibet, who's 4. The strain isn't just personal. Their initial Netflix deal, worth a reported $60 million, was downgraded to a first-look arrangement last summer, and the second season and holiday special for With Love Meghan underperformed in the ratings last year, with reports indicating no plans for another full season. In early March, Meghan and Netflix also announced they'd ended their year-long partnership in her As Ever lifestyle brand, though both sides insisted that was always the plan. And then a recent report from Variety cited growing frustrations behind the scenes at the streamer, suggesting the Sussexes' entertainment ambitions may have hit a wall, claims both Netflix and the couple's lawyer have denied, confirming they still have multiple projects on the way, including 2 book-to-film adaptations and a scripted polo drama series. At the same time, Harry's ongoing legal battle has dragged other royals into the spotlight, and secrets have been exposed, In pre-trial submissions, his legal team alleged that Prince William, who's 43, and Princess Kate, 44, were also targeted by private investigators working for the Mail, including claims that confidential details about William's 21st birthday party and Kate's phone and contacts were obtained. Behind the scenes, the emotional toll is heavy, the source claims. It really irritates Harry that people are trying to stir up trouble between him and Meghan, since he maintains these messages are ancient and irrelevant history. But try telling that to Meghan, says the source, who claims the Duchess is humiliated and has been in tears after being blindsided and betrayed because she never knew this was coming. According to the source, Meghan has wondered, what else is he hiding? Amid increasing attention, especially as the Sussexes head to Australia in mid-April for a series of private, business, and philanthropic engagements that are already being heavily scrutinized, it's just one more problem that the couple didn't need. A lot of people are now asking if this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back for Harry and Meghan, says the source. They were already on shaky ground, but this could well tip them over the edge. Harry's exes. Chelsea Davy. Harry dated the Zimbabwe-born beauty who's 40 on and off from 2004 to 2011. Chelsea, who had long been uninterested in my title, Harry wrote in Spare, ultimately walked away from the relationship, unwilling to embrace a life in the spotlight. Caroline Flack, in her 2015 memoir, Storm in a Sea Cup, the Love Island host who died by suicide at 40 in 2020, said her 2009 fling with a prince ended once the media found out. Flack also famously dated another Harry, Styles, who's 32, in 2011. Florence Brudenell Bruce, the model who's 40, dated Harry briefly in the summer of 2011, shortly after his split from Chelsea. The descendant of the 7th Earl of Cardigan later hinted she was glad she and the prince broke up because she valued her privacy. Molly King. Though the Saturdays singer, who's 38, initially denied a romance with Harry after they were seen dancing at London club Bunga Bunga in 2012, she came clean later that year. "Oh, we did go out for a drink," she confessed. Cressida Bonus. Harry revealed the dancer-actress, who's 37, whom he dated from 2012 to 2014, helped him cry for the first time over his mother's death. But it wasn't meant to be. There was massive affection, but not love everlasting, he confided. And Ellie Goulding. Just a few weeks before Harry met Meghan, a report claimed he and Ellie, who's 39, were all over each other at a 2016 polo match after-party. The British pop star performed at William and Kate's 2011 wedding reception. And with that, we've come to the end of our reading of Star Magazine, with an issue date of April 20th of 2026. This is your reader, Eric, saying, be well, be safe, look after each other. Bye for now.